Hey guys, it's PBK and today we're going to be disassembling the iPhone SE. So we got it right here. Let's take it out of the box. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do, you're going to remove these two screws right here on the bottom. They're going to be the type T3 screws. Alright, once you got those screws removed, you're going to need some kind of a suction tool to pry the screen away from the frame. Once you get some separation, you could put a prying tool or a guitar pick, anything that works. And then work your way around. Separating the LCD from the frame. Now when you lift up, don't lift up all the way because you have the home button flex cable that's attached to the main board. As you can see right here. Right here. So you don't want to tear that. No. Now what you want to do is you're going to have to release that clamp in here, right here. Once you get this clamp piece out, you can disconnect the cable from the connector. Now that it's disconnected, you can lift the screen up. Here's the inside of the phone. Now next thing you're going to do, you're going to have to remove the 4 screws right here that are holding this metal plate down. That's covering the connectors for the LCD. And you can remove the metal plate. And now you're going to disconnect the cables from the connectors. Separating the LCD from the main board. So here are the 3 cables for the LCD. One of them goes for the speaker and the proximity sensor. The other one's for the touch digitizer, which is this one. And this middle one's for the LCD. So at this point, let's just say if you have a broken screen or a cracked screen or something's wrong with your screen, next thing you're gonna have to do is continue on disassembling the screen. So there's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on the sides. You're gonna have to remove those. Once you got those removed, next you're gonna remove the screws for the ear speaker right here. There's 2 of them. And over here, there's a catch right here on this metal plate. You're gonna have to release that. And then you can remove the earpiece. It's right here. Next, you're gonna remove the screw over here. One screw right here. And then flip it around. There's one screw over here by the home button. Remove that. And then you have two more screws. One was hidden underneath the cable, which hold the home button down. Once you remove those two, this metal plate for the home button will pop off. And then you can remove the home button. Alright, so next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna pry up this camera flex that's here for the speaker. Just be careful you don't tear anything. And then you'll be able to remove this metal back plate. And then you're left with the LCD. So usually this is the part you're going to be replacing when you have a broken screen. So now let's put this back together. I'm going to put the side screws on first to keep the back plate in place. Flip it around, put the other two in. Now put your camera back in its socket area. And then we're going to put the speaker back in it. The speaker's back inside it. You're going to put the frame that goes over it. Make sure it clicks into place. And then you're going to put the screws back on for the speaker. The long one goes on the top left. So it goes on the top side of the speaker. Make sure you put the long one there so you don't damage your LCD. Alright, once you got those screwed in place, what you're going to do is put the back plate back on the home button. Make sure that middle tab is facing up, right there. And then you're gonna screw this back, the cable back down. So it's gonna look like so. Alright, now onto the main board. So you have a battery connector right down here. You're going to have to remove this shield to disconnect the battery. Alright, now you're going to have to disconnect these two cables. This one's for the battery, and this one's for the charger port. Once you got those removed, there's a connector right here. You're going to remove that cable and the one for the camera as well. So you're just going to pry those up, pop them off. Next thing you're going to do, you're going to remove your SIM card tray. Pop that out. You have one more cable over here that's attached to the charger port. You're going to have to remove that. You can see it's right here. It's hard to see. Alright, so next there's a sticker over here on top. Right here. It's covering some screws. You're going to have to remove that. Once that's removed, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 of these screws that screws get screwed into, so you're going to have to remove those. That's one of them right there. 1, 2, and you got 3, 4. Remove those. You can use a flathead, that's what I tend to use. Alright, next you got 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the screws that have other screws getting screwed into them. You're going to have to remove those. I use a flathead. Alright, once you got those removed, you have 2 more screws here, Phillips screws. You have one over here on the board and you have one over here. You're going to have to remove those. Alright, so next you got one screw over here and you have one on the frame, on the inside. You're going to have one right here. You're going to have to remove those 2. And then once you remove those 2 screws, this small piece is going to come off. Alright, next you're going to lift your board up and away from the frame. Just going to tilt it over like this. Don't pull it off completely because there's a cable underneath it. You have one cable right here. You're going to have to disconnect that cable. Once that cable is disconnected, your board comes apart. So you can separate the board from the frame. Here's the board. And you're left with pretty much your frame, your battery, charger port, camera, your vibrator over here. So now if you had a battery issue, you needed your battery replaced, all you're going to do is underneath the battery over here, there's two tabs. You lift up and you pull them away. It pulls the adhesive underneath the battery out so you could easily remove the battery. And in case you want to replace your charger port, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws here on the bottom. You need to remove all those screws, and then you gently pull away. You remove the speaker from on top, and you pull the cable away from the housing, separating the charger port assembly from the frame of the phone. And then you'd reapply the new one, put the speaker back on, and put all those 7 screws back in. Now we're going to put the phone back together. First thing you want to do is connect this bottom cable again. Once you got that in, get your board situated back in place. Make sure the cables are out of the way. Alright, once your board pops in place, you can go ahead and close the connectors on top. Put the camera connector back in. And you got this one piece goes over the top right screw area before it gets screwed in. It's a black plastic piece. Before it gets screwed in, the screw goes right inside of it. So make sure that's in place. And then on the bottom, you're going to connect the charger port cable back in place. And then this small cable right here, this one right here, you're going to connect that next. Alright, once all those are in place, we're going to go ahead and put those 2 screws back on. Alright, so it's the one that was here and the one that's right here. Next, you're going to get that small piece right here. I don't know if you can see. It's going to go back on top. You're going to screw that back down. So that piece is right here, screws right into here. And then you're going to have to screw the other screw back on top of the frame over here. Once that's in, you go ahead and put those 4 screws, adapters back in. Alright, next you're going to connect the battery cable. And once you connect the cable, you're going to put the metal bracket back over. And then screw those into place. And next, you're going to put your LCD assembly back. You're going to connect the cables. Once all the cables are connected, you put the metal bracket back over. And you're going to screw that back into place. Once that's screwed in, you have to connect the home button cable again. Once that's in place, you're going to put the bracket for it back on. This metal piece. Alright, next, you're going to put the screen back in from the top first. So this is the bottom, this top right here. Make sure the top is in first. You're going to put it in like this, slide it in. And then you're going to just pop the screen back in place. Once that's back in, you're going to pop your SIM card back in. And then you're going to put your bottom two screws back. And then you're done. Now you can just power on the phone.